Welcome to a demonstration of PICInfo version 2. So let me just start the application up. I have deleted my setup folder so I can show you what happens when you start the application afresh. So I get a warning, please use edit preferences to set up the default chip data folder to enable PICInfo. Now what's important here is that you need to point your software at your Great Cow Basic installation. Let's zoom in on that. Let me just put that in the middle so we can see it right there. Great. So it said use edit preferences. Mine is installed in my D drive. Great Cow Basic installation and select my chip data folder. There we go. It's now validated that because it is grayed out and selected. If you select a folder that isn't valid, it will simply not. If I take the converter folder, select it, it will just say reselect it, please. Okay, just try it. It's trying to tell you to just select a folder that's valid. Okay, great. It's the moment it's valid, you're through. You've got the tool active. Okay, how do I know it's active? Because it is. So what have I got? Got a drop down with all the chips I can select. I've got a series of tabs that we'll look at very shortly. I've got a utility area where I can select utilities, and I've got a dashboard for this particular chip. And let me just walk you through it. So what does this do? It exposes a chip definition file that's used inside of Great Cow Basic with all the chip parameters. So if I take a particular chip, I'll just take the first one. It's saying, it's showing me that it's got 4 configuration items in the chip, and I can see those inside of my chip options, the same things. Here we are, 4 of them here. It's got a series of bits, and those bits are shown on the bits tab. So if they're called GPIO, there's a GPIO, and they've got names and bits. So here we've got GPIO, it's on the GPIO register, it's on bit 0, and its address is GPIO.0 if you wanted it. So it shows you the bits. It tells you the chip definition or the data, how much program, how many chip words there are, how much EEPROM, RAM, etc., etc., through to whether it's a self-write capability or not. It has no interrupts because there are none shown, and it has a series of registers, which are these number of references, these here. So that's what it shows you. It shows you very simply the description inside of Great Cow Basic. Let me just take a chip. I can type it in the search, and it will then pre-select it in the drop-down for us. And this is a much more complicated. It's got a much larger list of capabilities here. But what you can do in here is, if you wanted to set the chip protect to on, so you code protect and low voltage programming to on, you can then copy that config, and we're going to paste that into a program. Watch this. So I can start up the IDE. It's just started up the IDE here. Let me just take my program, and I can paste that into an empty program. Here we go. Let me just delete it all. It's empty. Now, if I wanted to validate this, I'm going to put #chip. Go back into our PICInfo. I can just double-click the word PIC. It will take it to bold, and it has now put that in the cut and paste buffer also. So what I can do is, it said CP equals 0. It's got the syntax correct, and it's got the syntax correct for LVP. Very simple. However, if you wanted to do something a little bit more complex with the oscillators in here, here we go, the oscillators. I wanted to put it on an external clock for some other, copy that config, and it set it here correctly. So very simple. If you wanted to reset this in terms of back to the default, just press reset, and it will put it back to as it should be. Now let's highlight, these are the defaults used by Great Cow Basic. They have a star beside them. So we have made a load of decisions, and those decisions are pretty good because they're based upon 17 years of good practice. So for instance, the clock enable's turned off. The probably the extended languages, extended instructions is turned off. These are all turned off by default. Now let's have a look inside of our options. We'll see a lot more options in here. Now I'm going to do a search for my options in here. CP. There we go. I can do a search for a particular option in there if I wanted to. Bits. There's a lot more bits in this chip. In the first one we only saw a handful. There are hundreds in here. If you wanted to know the bits and their associated register and their bit number, they're in here as well. Chip data, a bit more extensive. So if you want to know how much RAM's in here, type in RAM. It says there's 2K of RAM in here. Interrupts. There are interrupts on here. So if I wanted to see what the USR, here are the USR interrupts listed here. Now remember, in Great Cow Basic, the enable bit and the event bit are cleared automatically and set automatically for you respectively. So they're quite interesting. And then here's all the registers here in decimal number and in hexadecimal number. So I can type in PPS lock, PPS. Now there is only a display issue in here in terms of on this screen capture application. So, but it is on my own screen here, it's working fine. So what else can we do in here? We can access, if it's a PPS chip, I can enter the PPS tool. And here it is, it's pre-populated the chip name in here for us. So if I wanted to very quickly set up a serial port, I can now copy that into my program here. I can then paste that into there. So I've now set up my config and my PPS in a few seconds. So I can access PPS from with this new tool. I can access the preferences for programming for Great Cow Basic. You've obviously seen the IDE. It will bring up the IDE for us. Then I can access the data sheets for the particular chip. There we go. Great, and the errata, etc. And there's other pages it will go and get for you. Great. What else I've got to show you? That's about it, really. That is about it. So what it's doing is exposing a chip for you. You don't have to go. The data sheets are all there. So if I want to give you an example, I'll go out to a data sheet. I'll look at shadow con. There we go. I'll go into the data sheet. It's on address. You can just about make it out. 3883 in hex. There we go. Now our information is sourced from microchip quite clearly, but this is presenting it in a manner that's consolidating it all, because we're exposing to you a lot more information in terms of chip data. We're telling you, how many variants, what our chip variant is, etc. And some of these parameters are used inside of Great Cow Basic, which is very useful when you're generating a program. So that's a quick flyby of PICInfo version 2. Look out for the AVR version.